think we're live anyway, so that's good. Yes, we are. Okay. Hopefully my phone doesn't fall off. Is it 8 o'clock? It's 8 o'clock. And the little red light is on, and we seem to be live. Are we live on YouTube? Is the question. Because I'm not so sure that we are until somebody shows up and says, yes, we are. But it's 8 o'clock. It's 8:01. Hello, you are live. Okay, thank you, Mary. All right, I feel better now. Hello and welcome everybody to Tom Leveen Live, which we still haven't found another title for, so we're just going to stick with Tom Leveen Live. It is 8 o'clock on Wednesday. Happy Valentine's Day tomorrow, those of you who celebrate such a thing. We don't really do a lot of Valentine-y type stuff. It just isn't really kind of in our DNA, but we are going to do something special next week yeah, we're just going to do something special next week. So in any case, welcome. And if you are new to the show, please don't forget to subscribe, because on YouTube, subscriptions are golden. Subscriptions are the lifeblood of the YouTube channel. So there we go. Oh, hey, Danny made it. You did finally figure it out. Hey, Danny. And school's out, right? You said school's out? I thought I saw that today posted. That's really cool. Yay. Although you said school's out for winter, I wasn't sure if that meant that I know today's not Valentine's. Oh, I see what you mean. You mean it's not Valentine's Day, it's chocolate day. Gotcha. Sorry, Mary. Danny, with yours, I wasn't sure. Hello, Andy. If you meant that school got closed because of the cold and like weather, or like the semester's actually over, whatever it is. So, oh yeah, huge. Okay, so there you go. It's a huge snowstorm. Wow. This is like Seattle, right? Or Seattle area. I always think of you as being in the Midwest. I was just telling Joy about this the other day. Like, for some reason, I have you guys in my head. I have you in the Midwest somewhere, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. So, but it's Seattle, right? Steve says, I miss snow days. Yeah, we don't get a whole lot of those here. I was just on an interview for a potential job gig thing, and the guys I was interviewing with said, yeah, every once in a while, we had a guy call in because he got snowed in, and they literally couldn't get out of the house to get to the gig or whatever. And I was like, well, see, if I ever try to, if I ever say that, you guys are gonna know I'm totally full of shit, because yeah, we don't have snow days here. Not gonna happen. So, in any event, thank you guys for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. I hope this is a useful show tonight. I think I probably look and sound better than I did last week, because last week was a pain in the ass with, if you hadn't heard yet, at one point last week I had 4 different plumbers in my house trying to solve at least 2 different problems. It was just not going well, but it works. Everything got worked out and everything, it's fine now, so that's good. 12 inches of snow? I don't even know. I don't know what snow is, let alone what 12 inches means, let alone um, yeah, I know Flagstaff. Yeah, Flagstaff gets snow days, but not Phoenix, as you know. So anyhow, yeah. So it was a difficult, challenging week last week, but I'm feeling much better and much more kind of relaxed, and hopefully that'll carry over for a few days. Here's hoping. So I got a lot of stuff going on this week. Anyway, so what else? How many plumbers? Oh, that reminds me, Danny. I have a great joke. It's just a terrible joke. My friend Pat over at Poison Pen told me, so I'm going to blame him. How many? Please don't ruin it. This is the worst joke ever. How many surrealists does it take to change a light bulb? Fish! Get it? It's just me. I think that's awesome. Anyway, thank you, Pat. Appreciate that. Woo! And that's my cold open, folks. That's how we start the show. Thank you, Andy. I thought you'd appreciate that. So here we go. That was the cold open. We're just gonna jump in and see what's happening. And for those of you, if we've got any, thank you, Danny, any viewers who are not signed in, please don't forget to sign in with your Gmail account. And then if you don't have a channel, you just click Create Channel on the upper right corner, if I'm not mistaken, and that will allow you to join the chat, post comments, subscribe, things like that. So please consider doing that for me tonight. I would really, really appreciate it. Well, of course, Mary's heard that joke before. You've heard all the good ones, Mary. Man, steal my thunder. It's just, that one will tickle me for like the next couple of days. So anyhow, So I've got a few writers here with me, I think, tonight, whether you're signed in and chatting or not, hopefully. Um, and if you ever take my, hey, if you ever take one of my writing classes, one of the things I talk about is emotional memory and physical memory. So we're going to kind of divide this up into two. I want to talk a little bit about, thank you, Richard. Yes, share, share, share. Share the channel, share everything. Please, that would be super cool. Um, so we have emotional memory, physical memory. I was going to say, I'm going to kind of divide this up into the writing portion and then the not writing portion of the show. So for the writing portion of the show, hopefully, probably some or all of you have seen some of the pictures that I posted from this most recent Spartan race that I did on Sunday, which was super cool. It was a Spartan Super, and we were told that it was 8.1 miles over in the McDowell Mountains, I want to say, and it was a lot of I mean, the hills were freaking brutal. So yeah, a lot of hills up and down, but that the 8.1 miles did not count any of the hauling things we had to do. So like at one point you have to carry a bucket of rocks. At another point you have to carry a sandbag. I think there's another, I feel like there's one more hauling thing that we had to do. I don't remember now, but those two for sure. And that distance, thank you, Richard. That distance was not, the 8.1 did not include those hauling distances. So it was probably like 8.2, 8.3. Anyway, but it was long. It was long, and I was, thank you very much, Toby. Good night, Toby. Oh, just one second. I gotta say goodnight to Toby. Be careful, bud. Good night. Thank you so much. I love you. And so yeah, and I would so the elite athletes are finishing this race, this 8.1 miler in 80 minutes, and I was like, well, that seems pretty fast, but okay. If they're doing it in 80 minutes, let me stroke my beard. You know what? I'm gonna shoot for 2 hours. 2 hours sounds reasonable if the elite guys are doing it in 80 minutes. No, 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 no. It was at least, it was like whatever I posted. I think it was 3 hours and 15 minutes or something like that, which makes sense because I didn't run a lot. I tried to run as best as I could, but between the running and failing some of the obstacles, I mean, like the initial attempt at the obstacles, it's like, fuck, dude, this is brutal. So about 3 hours and 15 minutes for this Spartan Super. But now you're here. Hey, Craig's here. Finally, we've been waiting for you, Craig. So we'll come back to the whole Spartan thing. But here's the thing that I want as far as the writing portion of the show goes tonight. Physical memory. Physical memory is the stuff that has happened to you physically that you can then endow into a scene. Now, one of the things that I have learned both as a writer and as an instructor for those who wish to become published authors is we tend to default to Hollywood when we are thinking about basically anything, like whatever plot, story, action thing we're thinking of it, we logically or quite reasonably think about movies, like, well, what happened in this movie? Oh yeah, and then we put that into our books, which can be fine if you're writing a book that's kind of Hollywood-like. If you're looking for something a little bit more realistic, then maybe Hollywood movies aren't the way you want to go. You really want to do the homework yourself. And Joy's here. Hello, Joy. Thank you for coming, and thank you for getting me my coffee, which we'll talk about in a moment. The last time I did a Spartan race, it was the Spartan Sprint, which I think was about 3 miles, and a couple of my friends came with me, and I think I got all of the obstacles except one. I don't remember which one I failed, but I know I failed one for sure. But the last one was you're up on this raised platform, and there's a big, nice, thick rope, and you swing down over a mud pit and land. And like, well, how hard can that be? It looks pretty simple. But the way it's set up, they kind of it fools you because you take off, you're like, oh, I'm doing pretty well, and then you realize, oh shit, no way, I'm gonna go down into this mud. Like the way the math works out, you are gonna hit this thing unless you've kind of worked your way up the rope, which of course I didn't do. So I hit the water, I tore a fingernail partly off, like that was the only injury I sustained, but it was right at the end. It was the last obstacle before the fire jump, or whatever. And that hurt. That was painful. There's mud in it. You're like, oh, it was just terrible. But I learned something that day. What I learned is that what Indiana Jones does with that whip is virtually impossible. Although I do have a story about that too. And from now on, if I ever happen to be writing a scene where somebody's going to be swinging on a rope from one place to another, it's going to be much different now the way I describe it than I would have described it before I was in that race, before I did that obstacle. Does that make sense? Um, so one of the things, yeah, ouch is right. One of the things races like that, obstacle races of any kind, or virtually any kind of experience, though, is that, I mean, that's the thing. That's kind of the point I want to make tonight with my writers and other storytellers is you have to get out of your house. You have to get out of your coffee shop. You have to get out and experience things so that you have things to write about. In terms of being a writer, like maybe you don't write stories, although some of you do, like Danny, I think. Maybe you don't write stories that are full of action and adventure and swashbuckling and swinging on ropes. Okay, that's totally fine. Um, but it doesn't hurt to have that physical memory, to have that body memory, or to have the feeling of exhaustion, or of what does it feel like to just to walk 8 miles or whatever. I do, Craig. As a matter of fact, good point. We're going to talk about that on another episode. Definitely keep track of what you spend your money on because of tax time. And it's just a good idea to have these experiences, to get out there and feel things. I remember many years ago, I was talking to a bookseller friend of mine about a middle grade book that I was writing, and he made the point of like, listen, you can't. It was a whole military setting, and he was like, an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old may not know what it feels like to fly in a plane. They may not have traveled yet at that age, but they may have experienced a roller coaster or something like that. So when you write this scene about the jet or whatever it was I was writing about, write about the roller coaster. Compare it to the roller coaster because then that particular demographic of reader is going to be more likely to kind of get involved and know what you're talking about. It's like, oh, that's really smart. Having those kinds of experiences, roller coasters, Spartan races, sword fighting training, martial arts training, macrame training, whatever, anything that is outside your normal orbit is only going to help your writing. You may not use it in this book, you may not use it in the next book, but who knows? You never know where this stuff is going to come up. When I was working on Zero, one of the things that I did is I took some art classes. I bought charcoal and art paper. I bought all the stuff that Zero would have had in her studio, in her room, and I practiced with it, not because I'm a good artist, and I was never going to be a good artist. I will never be a good artist. I don't care to be a good artist for that matter. But I'm writing about an artist, so I need to know that stuff. What does the. I take my classes for research, right? Of course she does, Craig. What does the charcoal feel like in my hands? What does it smell like? What's the sound that it makes on that thick, heavy art paper, the sketch pad paper, and stuff like that? Did any of that? Thank you, Andy. You're absolutely right. Did any of that end up in the book? Not necessarily, but there is one scene where she spends a paragraph or two describing what it feels like to be in the middle of creating art, and that was actually something that I think my agent at the time, or maybe my editor, asked me to include because there would be people who weren't artists, and charcoal does get everywhere, Danny. Of course, I would expect you to know that as well. So yeah, so that scene actually is in the book for those of you who have read it. And for those of you who haven't, why haven't you read this yet? Zero is awesome. This is an incredible book, and you need to read it. And if you've already read it and you haven't left a review on Amazon, you need to do that. So don't do it right now. Keep watching the show, but make sure you leave a review. So having those experiences is the first thing, and the only thing is in terms of writing that I wanted to share with everybody. Get out of your room, get out of your thank you, Mary. Get out of your space and go experience things so that you can have those experiences to write about and to endow them into the scene. Because remember, here's the other thing. Maybe I can't envision this happening, but let's just pretend I never write a story that involves someone swinging on a rope. It's possible. It could happen. Let's say I never write that scene. Okay, that's fine. But there may be some other physical aspect of that moment in the race that I will put into a completely different scene. Because the thing that I'm looking for in the scene is the same thing that I experienced as the writer. Does that make sense? Kind of went all over the place there. Yeah, so maybe I'm not going to write a scene about somebody on a rope swinging, but I may very well write a scene where somebody's fingernail gets torn up, or what it feels like to hit a muddy puddle, or oh my God, I remember I tried surfing once, and I frankly don't know if I'm ever going to do it again. And kicking out on the board, you're lying on the board paddling out, and I got hit by just 2 or 3 waves full in the face, And I turned around. I'm like, I'm done. And that like, and like we're in like, I don't know, hip deep water at this point. And my instructor's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going back. I cannot do this. I'm such a desert rat. Just the force of these little teeny tiny waves hitting me in the face. I'm out. I don't want anything to do with it. But I guarantee that sensation is going to end up in a story somewhere if it hasn't already. So, point being, and then we'll move on. Point being, get out there, storytellers and writers, and experience things so that you can bring them into your writer. It's going to into your stories. It's going to make everything so much richer. Get out of your little cave, okay? Now onto the fun stuff, and God, I hope I don't get preachy. I really don't want to, because I don't like doing that, right? um, Spartan race, and some of this other stuff I've been doing. Why should you do that? I don't know. That's not true. I have some very good ideas about it, and I want to share them with you because I feel like they are important, and I want what's best for you, whatever that may be. Now, again, I try to say this as frequently as I can. I think I say this. So I want to preface everything I'm gonna talk about. Thank you, Craig. Preach it. Don't want to decide for you what is going to make you happy, or what is going to make you well, or any of those things that I wish upon you at the end of every show. May you be happy, may you be well, may you be safe, may you be peaceful and at ease. I don't know what those things are. That's up to you. You have to decide those things, okay? But I would like to share with you some ideas and maybe some things that you hadn't thought about before, or maybe you don't want to think about them, I don't know, to kind of remind me. I left my room for almost a week, and my friends are going stricken. I'm gonna write it. I'm used. That's Danny brings up a good point. Yeah, sometimes it's good to be able to stay in one place for a week or more. That is true. I'm not going to deny that, Danny. Very well spoken. Um, so I want to tell you about some things that happened during this race in the hopes that maybe it will help one of you guys, or maybe many of you, evaluate some things about your life and where you're headed and where things are going. And let me also say that, for the love of God, I hope I do not say anything that is hurtful or offensive or upsetting or anything like that. By this time that is the last thing I want to do. Um, but I do want to be encouraging, and I do want to be honest, and I have to be sincere and authentic about the stuff that I have experienced, and then you can unpackage them and take them and do whatever you feel is going to be best. Yes, take chances, make mistakes, get messy. Absolutely. With that in mind, Richard, here we go. Um, and I can't remember if I've told this part of my story before, but many years ago now, I want to say it was like 10 years ago. I don't know. Joy would know better than I do. We were hanging out with a friend of mine, and he had just finished his first marathon here in Phoenix, the Rock and Roll Marathon. And I was like, I probably had a cigarette at the time. I was probably like, what the hell would you want to do that for? That's stupid. God. you know? And he was like, oh yeah, it hurt. It definitely hurt. But Tom, the thing is, crossing that finish line felt like nothing I'd ever felt like before. And I was like, and that one phrase really stuck with me. And I was like, really? What? Okay. Like, it sounds painful and stupid. And he's like, oh, it was painful and stupid. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Like, you hit mile 20, and like you can see people right at mile 20, just like they hit the wall. They're just done. And then there's this, just keep pushing for those 6 more miles, and you can do it. And then you cross the finish line, and it's just sort of this tremendous high and this feeling of accomplishment and everything else. And I was like, okay, I guess I can kind of understand that. Because I'm coming at that point, again, smoking, dipping, eating whatever the hell I want, and my last physical success story was like beating Chad Block in the shuttle run in 8th grade. I think that was like my mostly because we were frenemies and I was just glad to stick him. But so I was not a particularly physical person at that point. Like, that sounds really interesting. So I started doing some research on it and reading more stories about it. And I even bought a couple of documentaries about the marathon as a whole, and studying that, trying to figure out what this thing is. What was this? Was it at least 13 years ago? Oh my God, that's insane. Okay, so 13 years ago. But trying to figure out why the hell people would do this to themselves and why they would put themselves through this apparently torturous thing. But I kept encountering these stories of just the feeling of pride, the feeling of accomplishment. There's some people get this tremendous high off it and whatever. I was like, okay, well, I just want to know. Just is sheer curiosity, and maybe it'll come in handy for a story someday, which it turns out it did. So I just want to start investigating. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm certainly not going to just like oh, okay, marathon, sign me up and go do it. Like, that's stupid. You're going to get hurt. So I started with just, I did the what's called Couch to 5K program, which is very easy to Google. There's a dozen different sites about it. Couch to 5K. Started doing that. And then my first goal is like, I just want to do a 5K race and see what the hell happens. That's it. So I did that. And my first 5K, I want to say, I'm sure I have it written down somewhere, was probably like 40 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes, which is like, that's like slower than a walk. I must have stopped and took a couple of smoke breaks, I think, during that race. I'm not sure. Because I was definitely still addicted to nicotine at the time. Um, so very, very slow. But then crossing the finish line, even just walking a 5K was like, okay, I did it, but I finished. I didn't give up. That was the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't quit. Got across the finish line. That was kind of cool. All right. And usually, particularly here in the Phoenix area, our racing season, of course, is during the winter and fall because we can't do this shit in the summertime. So it was nice out, it was pleasant. Everybody was kind of happy to be there. It was a nice atmosphere, whatever. Like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'm going to do one more. So I trained a little bit more, and then my next race was like 35 minutes. Then I did it again, and I think my fastest 5K to date since I started doing that was, I want to say 29 minutes or 28 minutes. My goal has always been a sub 30-minute 5K, which, by the way, is not super hard. That is not like a tremendous accomplishment by athletic people's standards, because I do not consider myself an athlete during any of this. Let me just say that. Um, but I did it, and that was the thing. Like, I did it. Okay, and so once I did, I had a couple of those races behind me. Then I started training for the marathon, which mostly was a lot of walking. It was just a lot of walking. And frankly, when I finally did the marathon, my marathon time was like 6 hours and 15 minutes or 30 minutes. I think it was 6:30. I think it was 6 hours and 30 minutes. My goal was to finish the race and not get picked up by the loser cruiser, the van that picks up the stragglers at the end. That was my entire goal, and I did it. And I did it. Now, a couple things about that. Oh, I remember because we were talking about embarrassing moments, and I told you my embarrassing my embarrassing marathon story a couple weeks ago. One of the things I learned by finishing the marathon was that it's very different than the way you see it in movies. There is no fanfare. The Rocky theme doesn't start playing behind you. You don't like the world doesn't suddenly start moving in slow motion as it doesn't work that way. Like you cross the finish line and there's a bunch of people cheering, which is cool, and you're like, yeah, I did it, okay. And then you're past the finish line and you're like getting a banana, and a little silver blanket thing and like some water, Gatorade, and then I'm walking to the car and my legs hurt and like I just want to go home and eat pizza. And it was just kind of over, and it was this very anticlimactic finish, really. Now I felt good. I was hurting, but I felt good, and I look back on it going, yeah, I did it. I don't know if I'm going to do it again. I don't have a desire to do a marathon again, really. But okay, but now I've done it, and I have the physical memory that we talked about, and this achievement, this accomplishment that so few people do. That's pretty cool. So I was very proud of that. I was very excited about that. And then one thing led to another, and now here I am doing this training for this 20x event in August, which is the 12-hour thing. So when I signed up for that, I signed up for several other events kind of leading up to it. I did a 5K over at Tempe Town Lake, which was again very hilly, mountainous terrain, which I didn't realize when I signed up for it, but I did it. I came in. I don't know, it was 31 or 32 minutes, which really upset me, but I didn't know how much, like, sometimes you were, like, climbing, it felt like. And then I did the sprint triathlon thing, which again, not something I'm probably going to do again in the future unless I convince Joy to do it with me. I have no desire to do like a full Ironman triathlon. Like, fuck that in the face. No interest in that whatsoever. And then the Spartan race, and I think I've got one more like obstacle race in June, and that'll be my last sort of event before I do the 20x event. And I'll tell you right now, I'm scared fucking shitless. If any of my 20x people are watching right now, I am fucking terrified of this thing because this is Wednesday. The race was Sunday. I have done no exercise or training since a few days before the race, since before the hey Holly, hello. Since before the Spartan race, because it's taken me this long just to like be able to move again. Like it was painful, and that was 3 hours. So what the hell is 12 hours gonna do to my body? Like I don't want to be the last guy. I don't want to be that guy at the end. You know what I'm saying? Um, Now, the 20X event is not a race. It's not like something you come in first or last in. You just do it and you just keep going until they say you're secured and that's it. Um, but the thing that I wanted to bring up about all of that, some things that I learned at the Spartan race, and yeah, I got to stretch a lot after that kind of. I did not do that. I did not stretch nearly enough, Holly, which was a big mistake. I did do my Epsom salt bath for the first time. I don't know if that helped, but I feel better today, so maybe it did. But yeah, it was, and then I've got a coaching call. Yeah. Oh, skydiving until 5 seconds after I was on the ground. Then it was just a cool memory. Yeah, Richard Joy did skydiving once too. She went once, many many years ago, and like that's something I don't need to do. I just it's not on my list, and I respect people who do it, and I admire you from down here going, good job, that was smart. Because again, we can't, we're not here to tell each other what to do. I admire it and I respect it. I am not doing it, but I understand. Yeah, that feeling of like, and we're done. Well, that was over. Like it all happens very quick, very quick. Joy does have the video. We do have the video for Joy's jump. It looked like she had a great time. Yeah, I swallowed too quickly. Hold on. God, that pisses me off so much. That wrong pipe thing just drives me absolutely batshit. Um, so my question, and this is semi-rhetorical, we can talk about it in the chat if you want to, or just think about it. My question for you is, what would it feel like to surprise yourself? Um, you know, what are the things that are that you know you should be doing? Whether that's what you're eating, how you're eating, what kind of exercise you're getting, if you're getting any kind, like what are some of those things? And I don't, there's no reason to go into all of them here. Uh, and everybody has different things, whatever. But is there one thing you could change, and you know you could change it, to give yourself a longer, healthier life? Because that's what I'm after. That's the bottom line for me. I want to be here as long as humanly possible and be as well as possible for all of it. So what does that feel like? If this is, for and again, this is an example. I'm just using Spartan race, 20x, 5K, whatever as an example. There's a million other things that could apply to you. This is for me. Doing those first 5Ks, doing the marathon, doing the sprint, doing all the stuff that I've been doing, and what I'm assuming will happen, God willing, at the end of the 20x event, uh, is that surprise of like, wow, I did this. Uh, this is pretty cool, and it's not something anybody can ever take away. I feel the same way about books, and I think that's something Joy taught me many years ago. Is that even if I never traditionally publish another book, as long as I live, no one can take zero away. No one can take away Party, Mercy Rule. These books that I've put out there, whether they're available on shelves or not, doesn't matter. I have them. I did them, and I'm proud of them. You know what I mean? Um, the stuff that I've self-published, I'm proud of those too. I did that. No one is going to take those stories away from me, ever. They are part of my lifetime resume, so to speak. So are these races. So are these things. Whether I want, because I'm never doing these things to win. I'm not going to do 80 minutes on a Spartan Super race. I have no desire to do 80 minutes on a Spartan Super race. I'm there. I set a goal and I made it. That was it. Because goal number one was finish the race healthy. Goal number two was 2 hours. Okay, I missed goal number two, but I got goal number one. I went and I did it. So, is there something, anything, doesn't have to be physical, but is there something in your life that you know you want to change or you should change, and what would it feel like to actually do it? Um, if you've never done let's just do again, just sticking with physical because that's what I'm familiar with right now. Because we're not going to talk about my diet while I fucking drink Starbucks. But like, if you've never done a 5K, and maybe it's never crossed your mind to do a 5K, but think about it. What would that be like to go out there? Like, there's a shit ton of them here in the winter and fall, again, like around the Phoenix Zoo, around Papago Park, at all kinds of various places around town. Most of them are fundraisers for all kinds of research. There's various cancer runs and Alzheimer's, and you name it. There's all kinds of different races for that. What would it be like to be like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to sign up for one of those, and I'm just going to finish it. I'm going to do, a bit of training, whatever that is, whatever is safest for you, and I'm just going to go do this thing. Because here's something else. to go back to my Spartan race, there were I've got a lot of stories from the Spartan race. At one point, I was actually running at this point, and I passed a couple of people who were not physically fit, and we'll just leave it at that. They were not physically fit by any stretch of the imagination, and as I was looking at them, my first impulse, I'm ashamed to say, my first impulse was, "What are you doing here?" Like I was that right, I was that asshole. Like, what do there's no, because I know for a fact you're not getting over some of these obstacles. I'm not trying to be an ass. Like, you're just not gonna get over some of these obstacles. But then as soon as I thought that, happily, more of my mentors, people who have mentored me, my trainers, kicked in and said, "Hold on a second. They're fucking here. They're here. And they're here probably knowing they're not going to clear every obstacle. But they're here. They showed up and they are walking this trail together. And there was two of them side by side, and they were walking and talking the whole time. And I thought, God damn, that says so much about them. And I'm a useless piece of shit for having had that initial like arg thought um, about them. You know, like how cool. How cool is that? Hello, Danelin. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to share, everybody. Share and subscribe. uh, but yeah, like they showed up, and so much of it is just that. And also, it's easy for me to tell you all this because I don't think about it. I'm still very much struggling with changing the tapes in my head because my tapes are, as you may have noticed, very negative, and you guys can do great things. Clearly, I cannot. Um, we're not going to go down that road because you guys do that enough for me. Um, so yeah, that was one of the things. Some other things that I learned, and this is again just me, but I wanted to share it because I think maybe it'll be helpful. So that one of the obstacles is, I think they're called Tarzan rings, but they're basically gymnastic rings, you know, and you got to go swing over hand, and then there's after that there's a metal bar, but it's at an angle, so you have to grab onto that, and it's slippery because it's covered with mud and everything, and then when you get to the top of that, you have another set of rings to go over, and I think that might have been one of the ones that I failed last. I don't remember, but so I get up behind this guy, and he goes, and he's a pretty beefy guy. He wears beefy tees, you know, and he makes like one or two rings and then just drops, and he's like, "Damn it!" So you know, and he gets out of the way. He's like, "Go ahead, man." I'm like, okay. Now, the great thing about the Spartan race is there are obstacles for everybody, and there are obstacles that will screw everybody. I didn't say that very well. There are obstacles that fit your skills, and then there are obstacles that fit other people's skills. Like, so for me, the rope climb, piece of cake. I weigh nothing. I don't weigh anything, so I could just like done, no big deal. Rope climb, not a big deal. And there, right before I went up, there was this guy, and oh god, I mean, he was just like, I don't know if he was a wrestler or a fighter or whatever, but he had these huge, I mean, just huge football player looking guy, and he got like a foot up there and then just dropped, and he's like, "Damn it," you know, and couldn't do it. Well, I just shimmied up and shimmied back. Like, I'm like, haha, look how in shape I am, right? Well, yeah, real funny, motherfucker, because one of the next ones you have to do is this like 80 or 90-pound concrete ball that you have to physically pry out of a hole in the ground and carry, I don't know, 20 yards or whatever, and then drop, do 5 burpees, pick it back up, and carry it back. Like, how the hell I did that, I have no idea. I did it, but not very easily. And you know that the football guy was like, and just carrying it with one hand, right? So again, point being, there are obstacles that you're going to be good at, and there's obstacles somebody else is going to be good at. Just depends on your skill set or your body type, your training, whatever. Um, so I'm doing the rings, and I get to the bar, and the guy who just fell off in front of me is pacing. He's like, "You got it, you got it, you got it." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure," and I'm swinging it, but I'm starting to kind of feel it because you know your grip is wasted by this point. I have a bad elbow from doing pull-ups wrong. Like I'm starting to like, I don't know. Just jumps in. Now he shouldn't have done it. He should have waited for me to ask, but he just jumped in, and I mean, he just grabs me around the legs and goes, "All right, I got you. Let's go." And so I keep going, and he helps me across this obstacle, right? And the rules basically, and they're pretty lax rules. If you're not like an actual competitor trying to win the race, it's pretty lax. But the rules are, if you don't clear an obstacle, then you have to do, I think it's 25 or 30 burpees, and then you go on to the next obstacle. Um, but again, if you're not one of these elite athletes, you can have assistance, and that's totally fine. So this was illegal. I finished the obstacle complete, legit, and I dropped down. I'm like, thanks, man. He's like, yeah, no problem. And then he kind of goes, ah, and he goes over to the burpee zone, which is this flat area of dirt, and he drops down and starts pumping out burpees. And I'm walking by him, and then I started thinking about all the stuff I've been studying for this 20X event, and all the stuff we've talked about with taking ownership and all that kind of stuff. And I made it about 5 yards, and then just stopped. I was like, fuck. And then I turned around and I went back and dropped down and started doing burpees with the guy. And he's like, "What are you doing? You cleared the thing." I'm like, "I know, man, but not without you. So let's do it. Let's crank them out." And so we did our burpees together, and then we went on to the next obstacle. And I don't, you guys know me. I don't share that kind of shit to be like, "Woohoo! Look at how badass I am." Um, it's and oh, hey Sam here. I didn't see you earlier, Sam. Thanks for coming. Um, but I share that just to point out like that's what if we all did that? Like, what if we all were there helping the dude across the obstacle, and then when we did that, we were all just dropping down together and doing the hard stuff as a team. That's one of the takeaways I got. There's a lot of team stuff that comes out of the Spartan race. Now, last time I did it, I had two friends with me. Um, this time I did it solo, not knowing if people were going to be helpful or not. It turned out they were. Um, there was another obstacle. So I think I posted one of the pictures about it. Um, the under the mud, like where you can see me like all with the like the mud's right up to here. Um, when I got up to that obstacle, and this is the one I was feeling the most because I didn't want mud in my mouth or my nose because I'm grossed out by shit like that. Um, so we get up to the wall and there's a woman there and she just happens to be facing me and we're looking at each other like, okay, and then we start to go and then we both come back up and start laughing because we neither one of us want to do this and we're not talking at all. We're just making eye contact. Like, okay, all right, and then I'm like, on three, she's like, yeah. And so we count to three, and then we both kind of go under together, and then we did this whole knuckle bump thing, and you can kind of see that in the pictures that I posted on social media. Um, and I don't know her name. I don't know anything about her, but for this one like 60-second moment in time, we were absolutely on the same team. You know what I mean? And that was cool. And I wish I would put more energy and time into making my life feel more like that more often, I guess is my point. Um, yeah, it was just a cool moment. There was another cool moment um, where that one of the obstacles was so it's just a series of metal bars. Okay. Um, Oh yes, Hall. Oh yeah, I follow Jocko everywhere. I've got so much of his stuff. I haven't read Extreme Ownership yet, but it's on my list. I'm definitely going to read that. He was one of the guys who first inspired me to start making some of these changes that I make. Yeah, Jocko's amazing. You all should follow Jocko because he does not bullshit, and it's very refreshing and very challenging. Yeah, Jocko's fantastic. He knows his shit. Um, so there's a series of bars, but here's the trick. So there's a bar, okay, and then the next bar is up higher, so you have to swing up to it, and then you swing down to this rotating series of bars that you then go to another. So yeah, it was crazy. Um, and the thing about the bars is like again, as soon as you get up there, you can just feel your grip start to go because it's wet and it's muddy and everything. Um, but I make the first one, and I'm listening to one of the coaches, like volunteers over here, saying, "Don't try to do it all at once," because the guys who were like, "Oh," and trying to swing across like this, they were just dropping like flies. He's like, "Don't try to do it all at once." So I was listening to that. I'm like, okay, so I get the first one, and then I get up to the second one, and then I get to the next one. Like, okay, I need some momentum. So like suddenly, elementary school on the playground monkey bars comes crashing back into my body. I'm like, okay, so get some momentum, and I'm swinging, and then I manage to get to the next one, and that's the rotating one. And there's these two guys on the sidelines who, again, they look like they must play football or something like that, and they're just sitting there like, and they're doing this running commentary on my maneuvers the whole time. Like, okay, that looked pretty good. I think he's got the right idea on how he's going to do this. What do you think, Phil? You know what? I think you're right, John. I think he's like it was just, and they didn't know they were doing it. I don't think, and I couldn't tell them to shut up because I was going, just trying to hang on for dear life. But then I made it across the obstacle, and at the end of many of the obstacles, you hit this like cowbell thing, more cowbell, and then that signals that you're done. Um, so I did that, and then I just dropped to the ground, and they're like, "Good job, bro." And I'm just by that point, I'm so exhausted. I'm like, thanks, and I just go on for the next obstacle. But it was so cool to have like it was irritating because I'm trying to focus, but ultimately it was really cool that they were there kind of being encouraging and just being like, yeah, he's got this, and like making these very positive comments the whole time. And damn it, I want to do that more in my life. You know what I mean? That was another one of the things that kind of came across. Oh, so on mile 3, I've been saving a pair of shoes for a couple years now, knowing that I would eventually do another Spartan race. So these were my crappy running shoes from years ago. I'm like, cool, I'll hang on to those and use those for my Spartan race and then throw them away, which is what I did. What I didn't realize is how bad a shape they were in. I had glued them back together at one point, thinking I'd done a good job. I hadn't done a good job. On mile 3, my sole comes up. The sole of the shoe, it's gone. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Uplifting commentary. That's a good idea, Andy. You'd be very good at that, Andy, as a matter of fact. You would be fantastic at that. That should be a job. That should be somebody's fucking job to just stand around like in stores or corners, or whatever. It's like, you know what? I like that he's, you know what? That would be awesome. That's a great idea. So the whole thing. I mean, it just comes off. It's hanging on by the toe. I'm like, and this is the thing about the extreme ownership and and the training that I've been doing is like, of course, my first thought is panic, like, oh my god, I can't do an 8 miles or what, like, somebody help me with math, 5 more miles with no sole on my shoe. And as soon as I thought that, I thought, no, you still have to finish this race. Now, fortunately, I had packed some duct tape because duct tape rules, and I was able to get my shoe back on briefly. That ended up not working so well, but I pulled off to the side because there were people running and stuff, and I pulled off. I had to take my, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to get this thing done, and at least 2 or 3 people, as they were running by, stopped and said, "Hey, man, are you okay?" They didn't have to do that. You know, I wasn't bleeding or anything, but I'm clearly sitting on the ground and having some kind of issue. And these people stopped and said, "Hey, is everything okay? Are you all right?" Which was really cool. And then one guy was like, "Do you need tape?" And I'm like, "No, I've got some." And then he's got like, I think he had like literally a wristband of some kind of like either electrical or duct tape dispenser on it. I have no idea what the hell this thing was, but he was offering it to me, and I was like, "Wow, that's cool." And I think I've got it, but thank you. Um, and again, like, what a great way to just do things, you know? And it just made me wonder, like, God, am I going to do that on the drive home? Am I going to do that on Monday? Am I going to do that on any other day? No. The answer is no. I haven't been. And I want to be better than that. I want to be more like that more often. Um, the other thing, as I drink my mocha, um, the importance of rest. I'm not very good at that, as Joy can tell you. I really don't like rest, and it's literally something that I have to put effort into. I don't like sitting around because that's what rest feels like to me. It really just drives me crazy. Um, I haven't minded not training this past couple days because it was painful. But like I realized today, I was like taking stock. I was kind of running through my body. Like, okay, I think I'm more. I got to do something about the elbow still, but okay, mostly I'm back up to speed. So tomorrow I need to resume my training again, and then I've got a training call with a coach on Friday to talk about my knees, which are completely screwed up from running because I never learned how to do it properly. That was the other problem. Is you really should have somebody teach you to do this stuff correctly. Um, but the importance of rest, and we talked about this I think last week or the week before about taking time to ditch class. Like that's I still believe that you have to take time. If you can't ditch class or you can't ditch work, okay, that's fair. But we do still have to rest. We have to let our minds and our bodies do that. Again, very easy to say, not very easy to do. But if by any chance you needed permission to do that, I'm giving it to you. I won't give it to myself, but I can give it to you to take that time out, and that's okay. There are, yeah, yeah. That's just really, really important. It is really, really important to do that. Um, that makes you. But I had this question. Go drink and watch esports. That's cool, Sam. You go do it. You tear it up, man. um, But one of the other questions I had, and then I want to talk a little bit about zero, and this I think I can tie this together. I don't know. Is when we started the show this morning. This morning, my God. When we started the show tonight, I had a question about what would it feel like to do something, right? What would it feel like to surprise yourself? Another question, kind of along the same lines, I think, is this: um, what? Because I'm wondering this about myself. So again, it's rhetorical. You don't have to chat about it, of course. Um, but what is it that makes you afraid of making the changes you need to make? Now, for me, just because I'm talking about Spartan racing and training, all that kind of stuff, I'm looking at it from the physical point, right? What is, how are you eating? How's your diet? And not diet as in the way that you eat and what you eat, okay? How is that? Are there things you know you could do better? Are there things you know you could change? Your overall physical fitness level. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. That's up to you to decide. Okay? Again, please understand, I'm not saying you need to go do a 5K, you need to go do a 20X, you need to go do, like, no, you don't have to do any of those things. You really don't. But are you getting enough exercise? Because if nothing else, I need you here so that you can buy my books and read them, God damn it. So I need you alive and healthy so that you can keep buying my stories, all right? So there's that. Um, but if there are things you know you're supposed to do, and maybe they're at the back of your mind, maybe sometimes they're at the front of your mind. Like for me, when I quit smoking and dipping, like that was, I was addicted to nicotine from age 13 or 14 to 7 years ago. So pretty much my whole life. The only time I wasn't actively trying to stop was high school, like 4 years. I wasn't trying at all. And then as soon as I graduated, like that was when I first started thinking I should really probably stop. And I'm not kidding. I was trying to quit that entire time. Sometimes really hard I was trying, sometimes not so much. At one point I quit for 6 months in my second or third year of college. And then I, went back to it. Um, so it was a bitch. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. I think it may have been, to this day, probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Um, but I knew that it was something I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it, and I needed to do it. My son had just been born. That was a big motivator, I think. Um, and I got to tell you, when that happened, finally, after all these years, also, and I've mentioned this before, I still think about it. The hardest time, the worst time for me, to this day, 7 years it's been, 7 years. When I go to get gas, and I'm at Circle K, and they have those Copenhagen ads on top of the fucking gasoline pump, kills me every time. I'm like, man, that sounds good. Like 7 years, and I still, when I see those fucking ads, man, um, that's that's just how it is. Um, when I was in the process of quitting, at one point I had a stopwatch that I used because it was just 1 more minute. Just wait 1 minute, and then you can have another one. Wait 1 minute, and literally. Oh yeah, no, it was awful, Holly. Yeah, it was terrible. It was gross. Don't get me wrong, but I still love it. I do. Disgusting, and I love it. Uh, it was just a series of minutes, and frankly, at this point, honest to God, like I don't think I'm ever going to do it again. I do have one. I have I have a couple of metrics, or like a couple of instant. There are. Um, I've given myself permission to resume my nicotine habit if certain benchmarks are met. Hopefully, those benchmarks are never met, and I don't expect them to be. But if they do, I'm buying a pack of cigarettes and a can of Skull, no question. Until then, I'm just stacking up minutes until the next one. That's really it. It's not conscious anymore, but some days it is. When I'm getting gas and look at that Copenhagen sign, like, yeah, it's right now. And it's not hard. It's not difficult anymore necessarily. But then on some days, it's like, oh, fuck yeah. It's just building up those minutes. And I was trying to think, to go back to the question, what what would be the thing that I was afraid of if I gave this thing up, or if I changed this aspect of my life? Doesn't have to be smoking, doesn't have to be drinking, doesn't have to be whatever. You decide what your thing is, but you probably have a thing. I think all of us have a thing or two or 10 that we know got to really be better, healthier, stronger, happier, whatever, if I gave up this thing, this habit, this way of thinking, this way of doing things, this way of talking, this way of whatever it is. Maybe it's what you eat. Maybe it's how much exercise you get. Maybe it's smoking or drinking or whatever the hell. Frankly, apparently we're all supposed to be drinking red wine, so we've got that going for us. Um, I would probably have to force myself to start drinking red wine though. But is there something that's making us afraid of that change? And if so, what is it? I know for me, uh, when I quit finally my nicotine addiction, one of the things I was afraid of is who the hell am I going to be? I don't know who this person is without because I had habits and patterns established with it that frankly I still miss. I'll be completely honest. I think I lost some friendships over it. Not as a not as a like not like somebody called me and was like you quit, fuck you. Like it wasn't like that, but just because I had to separate myself for a period of time in order to get over it, and then that that space created rifts, and I don't know if there's getting back to. I don't know. It was hard, um, and I still worry about that. So I still think about that sometimes because sometimes, particularly on those bad days when there's been four plumbers at the house, it's like, dude, I just want to go smoke half a pack of cigarettes in the back porch with so and so because somehow that will solve it. That will make everything better. Um, Yeah. But anyway, so the rhetorical question, something to think about. What is there something that fundamentally deep down, or maybe at the front of your mind? Hey, Dylan, you're at football practice. Like soccer football or football football? It's like football's over, dude. All right, somebody catch Dylan up. Am I still on? Oh, there I am. Okay, good. Yeah, is there a thing that makes you afraid to change? And I'll just leave it at that. Unless I'd be happier, more attractive. No, didn't really change after 50 pounds. Hmm. See, I feel compelled, Steve, at that point, because I think I understand that, and again, I'm not going to argue with someone's personal experience. I hate when people do that. Um, I don't know, man. I feel like there's more to it than that, though. You know what I'm saying? I feel like not being in that position myself. I don't know. And we probably shouldn't go into it on YouTube live, so we'll, we'll move on. Yes, mindset changes are the hardest. They goddamn right. Like I said, these tapes, God, they are just in there, man. They're just in there. Um, they're slowly changing. They're slowly changing. I started off this year hoping and planning to not get angry. That lasted. I got like 2 or 3 weeks into the new year, and then I lost it. And then it happened again a couple more times. But I didn't break anything. I didn't break anything. Did I? No, I don't think so. No, I didn't. I didn't. So that's a step up. That's a step up. Um, but one of the like so when I was on the race Sunday, um, like the negativity is it was just in there. Uh, like you can't do this, and then to physically and out loud very frequently say no, shut up, bullshit, change your tape, stop feeling sorry for yourself. What's another way to phrase this? Okay, I have 6 miles to go. Okay, well, right now and one of the things that I love about Jocko and some of the other guys on YouTube and elsewhere who talk about this stuff is this idea of one evolution at a time. And again, it's that same stacking up the minutes. Um, if any of you have seen, this is many years ago now, there was a big, it's like a six-part series on either Discovery or History Channel about a Navy SEAL training thing, class 234, I think it was. And I remember there's one moment where one of the candidates is in the push-up position, you know, because that's what he's been told to do, and he's had a shitty long ass day. It's probably Hell Week or whatever, and the people filming are like, "Are you thinking about how long the night's gonna be or something like that?" And he's like, "Negative. I'm just thinking about being in the push-up position." Like, and that's how you get through that stuff. Like right now, I'm in the push-up position. What about, there is no what about. There's just, I'm in the push-up position. On the race, I had to do that so many times I can't even tell you because I was tired and it was just, and things were starting to hurt, by mile 6, like, oh, my knees were just completely going out. And it was like, I just want to stop. Okay, well, right now, my goal is to take this step. And sometimes that's what it is. I'm taking this step. Okay, we'll worry about the next step when the next step comes. Right now, let's take this step. And that seems to apply equally across, physical challenges, mental challenges, emotional challenges, you name it. Writing a book. I'm going to write 100 words today. Fuck, that's it. Like, if I could just get 100 words, or if I could get 1,000 words, whatever. You know what? Let me just start a new sentence. Then do that. Um, these are some of the things that I have come to realize and believe that the kind of training I'm doing can change because it's not about, here's the thing. This thing that I'm gonna go do, everyone keeps saying, oh, it's 80% mental and 20% physical, and I'm like, well, that's cool. My mental sucks too. Like it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? And I was actually just talking with Joy about this, and one of the things that really is starting to worry me right now about the training that I'm doing is that I feel like I'm using, or that I'm at risk for using, the physical training as something to hide behind. That, well, if I can just do this marathon sprint, if I can just do, or triathlon sprint, if I can just do this 20x event, if I can just do this event, then everything's going to be okay. Like I think you guys were just talking about, like, well, if I can just lose X amount of pounds, if I can just do, then everything will be fine. And that's not true. It's demonstrably not true. Like, if I ever said to myself, and I probably did, if I could just, and I'm sure I did, if I could just quit smoking, if I could just quit dipping, everything would be fine. I probably have journal entries about it. Well, guess what? Bad days still happened. Fuck. My kid still got sick. Son of a bitch. Car still broke down. God damn it. Didn't get the publishing contract. Shit. I thought all of that was supposed to be fixed when I quit nicotine. No. Doesn't work that way. Okay. So then we need something new. Something else has got to change. And coming to that realization, and I'm wondering if this is the same thing that some of my other trainees are going through or have gone through in the past, of starting to realize that, like, you know what, I could go to this event in August and I can crush every evolution. I can bust out 200 push-ups and a million burpees and do whatever the hell and go home feeling like just fresh as the, I don't know, fresh as something fresh. And it's not going to matter because that's not what the event is about. The event is about confronting yourself and using the physical stuff to unlock and look behind what else is going on up here and in here. And that shit scares me to death because I don't know who's in there. And that's why I'm asking these questions. Who the hell is that guy? If I didn't know who I was without cigarettes, without nicotine, then who the fuck is the guy who can do 12 hours of nonstop work under the watchful eye of retired fucking SEALs who have taken lives? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did I think this was a good idea? So yeah, it's 80% mental. Well, swell. My mental sucks too. That is worrying. And these events, these relatively, because here's what happened. And I posted this on my the group that I'm in, who's training for this event. I posted on there, one of the cool things that happened in the days and weeks leading up to the Spartan event is I wasn't thinking about it. Years ago, like when we did the sprint race, the 3 mile with my friends, like I couldn't stop thinking. I was just obsessing about how hard it was going to be and how painful it was going to be and how scared I was and like, oh my God, am I in the right enough shape? Oh, just so worried about it. And it turned out not to be really that big a deal. It was kind of cool. This time around, a longer race, 5 miles longer than last time, doing it by myself. I had to put it on my whiteboard. Like, oh yeah, I've got that race coming up. Don't forget to get up and do that Sunday because that would suck. Like it just didn't even occur to me, because it wasn't going to be a big deal. And the reason it wasn't going to be a big deal was because of all the effort and training I'd put into it in this past 6 to 8 months or whatever it's been leading up to it. Like, oh yeah, I got a race. Like I could probably do another one this weekend. I'm not going to, but I probably could. I know for a fact I could finish it. I don't know how healthy I'd be at the end of it, but I could finish it. Um, so anyway, point being, I do feel that events like this, again, whether we're talking about a 5K or just a walk around the block, maybe it's just walking the dog, or maybe it's swimming, or maybe it's, I don't know, whatever. Maybe it's eating one more serving of green vegetables each day, whatever the fuck. Maybe it's just going to work on your story. Maybe it's picking up the instrument that you put down 10 years ago and you wished you hadn't. I don't know, but whatever it is, like, it's a minute at a time. It's this evolution. What are you doing right now? Right now, I am practicing uh, this social distortion song because it's important to me to learn this on guitar or whatever. Um, right now, I'm just gonna get up and go outside. And like I've even heard I've heard stories literally of people who like, okay, my goal tomorrow, and for some of you and me, this happens. I was just talking with a friend of mine who I think would identify this very much. Um, like their goal is, and this is legitimate, I'm going to get out of bed and make breakfast. That's it. That's the goal today. Because for some of us, that's a huge fucking accomplishment. A legitimately huge accomplishment. Um, and I'm sure I know some of you have probably been there, right? For some other people, like I mentioned the couch to 5K thing. For some people, it was like, okay, tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up at let's say 5:30 in the morning and put on my running clothes and walk to the end of my driveway, and then I'm gonna come back in and maybe go back to bed or whatever the fuck, right? But that's it. That was the line. That was it, and that's legitimate and that's okay because that's where that thing starts, right? Um, and trust me, I have those days, many of those days, and they scare the crap out of me. But there they are. Um, So what I want for you, again, because you have to buy my books, and I want you to live a long, happy, healthy, successful life, so you have lots of money and lots of free time to buy books by Tom Leveen and read them and leave reviews on Amazon, and then subscribe to his channels. God damn it! I want that for you because it's good and it's worth it. Whatever that means for you, whatever that means for you, I don't know. I don't know. You get to decide that. But that's what I want. Zero. Why does Zero make the decision she makes at the end of the book? Um, and I've caught a lot of heat from people about that. People who are like, "What? I can't believe," rah, rah," and they're just so angry. The good news is they're angry at the character. They're not angry at me, which is great. I think that's the sign of a good book. Um, but she has to do it. She has to take ownership of her career and of her fears. And the only way to do that is to do what she does at the end of the book. For the two of you probably who haven't read it, she has to do that. She has to, in writing, we call it not agenda, but shoot, Joy, help me. Agency. We call it agency. Um, when we read Hunger Games, we don't want to read a Hunger Games book where Katniss is sitting around going, "Gosh, it's really sad that Prim got picked. Man, bummer." You know, we like Hunger Games, and we like. Thank you, Sam. It is agency. Uh, we like Hunger Games because Katniss immediately leaps into action and takes charge of the moment and says, "I volunteer." That's why we like her. It's crucial for our protagonists to take action, to have agency, just as it is important for us to do that. Um, I'm going to pack up my running clothes or my whatever, and I'm going to put them by the front door. And tomorrow I'm going to get up and put them on. And then maybe the day after that, I will go to the end of the driveway. And maybe the day after that, I will walk to the end of the street. And maybe someday, and it's these little incremental things. Yeah, Tyler Darcy, Captain Agency. Thank you, Sam. I so much appreciate you. Uh, that's why that's so important in this book, that she makes that decision, that she has that agency, and that she exploits it, for lack of a better term, to do what is right for her and her future, even though it is so hard, even though it is so hard. So anyway, that was a lot of me talking. I see I wasn't able to keep, I didn't have my laptop up tonight, so it looked like everybody was having a very fun conversation, which is good. Of course, that is what I want. I don't care if you listen to me or not. I'm glad you guys are all hanging out. Oh, thank you, Dana Lynn. Yay, and leaving reviews. What? Oh, that's good. Thank you. I'm glad you pursued that and you were able to fix that. So, what's going on? I gotta, if you haven't read Now You Don't, which is my third horror novella, that will be showing up on Amazon pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. Those of you who have already read it. Um, and I had a really interesting lunch today with a friend who is sort of a, we'll call him a movie guy. And while I have nothing to announce, it was a very good meeting and we had a lot of fun and I learned a lot about movie stuff. I'm getting ready to learn a lot more about movie stuff in the next couple months, and who knows, maybe something will happen. I don't know. If I could stop my shiny thing syndrome, that would be great. The comic book is still happening. The inks are done. Some of the flatting is done. But oh, you have to read the horror. Yeah, Sam, you gotta let me know what you think of the horror. And it's okay if you don't like it. You just gotta buy it. That's my rule. Nobody has to read it. Nobody has to like it. They just gotta buy it. Um, but anyway, some things came up, but the comic book is still coming. It's still on the way. I don't have a timeline yet. That's the only thing. So, but it will be coming, and that'll be cool. If you're not a patron of mine, Mary, you got to tell everybody how's the book coming? We're on chapter 3 now, or section 3 really, of Naked, which is my sort of it's not even really a companion, but it's a story associated with Mercy Rule. Um, I like everybody for their wallet. Sam, are you kidding me? Yeah, Starbucks is not cheap, my friend. I gotta coffee is for closers only. I love saying that shit. Anyway, so if you're on Patreon, if you sign up for Patreon, you can catch up for. Oh, and Holly too. I think Holly, you're on there too, and Andy. A lot of you are actually on there. Come to think of it, so that's cool. You are my, like, what are you called? My super fans, which is so cool. I have super fans. Thank you. Um, but it's a anyway. Point being, I'm releasing a like about 1,000 or 1,500 words of a chapter every Monday or Tuesday. And the only place to get it right now is on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/Tom Leveen. That would be super cool. The other thing I want to mention, because I just realized it today, is we are at, I want to say, 65 subscribers right now on YouTube, which is awesome. Thank you so very much. But here's our next goal. Here's my assignment for you guys, if you wouldn't mind, my super fans. Um, you're not my super fans, you're my friends. If we can get subscriptions for this channel up to 100, then you know what we get to do? We get to personalize the URL. So if we can get 100 subscribers, is it now 70? Is it really? Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Danny. If we can get up to... I'll take it. I'm not proud. If we can get to 100, we get to customize the URL. So I can finally be youtube.com/Tom Leveen, which would be really great. That makes it so much easier to tell people, because right now, if you don't have a link, then it's like you have to go in, you have to search for it, make sure you spell my name right, blah, blah, blah. But if we could get that done by like Comic-Con, Phoenix Fan Fusion, if we get that done by May, that would be super awesome. So if you've got friends that you think might be interested, and again, they don't have to watch, they just have to subscribe, right? That would be super cool. Let's get those subscriptions up. We only need, like 30 more apparently to get to 100, and that changes things. That would be very, very cool. What else? So yeah, look for some of those books. If you didn't already pick up a copy, Now You Don't was available through Facebook for a while there, but it will be on Amazon pretty soon, so that'll be cool, as well as some print copies for various and sundry reasons. Trying to think what's coming up. Is that it? I've got live. Like I don't think I have any public event. Oh, you know what? I am gonna be at Barnes and Noble Chandler, I think, or Santan, pretty soon. I'll let you guys know when that is. I do not remember when that is, but it hasn't been finalized yet, so that's coming up. I'll let you guys know. We'll be doing. It'd be really cool to see some of you there, because it would be nice to see some people there. I will let you know about that. I think that's all the big events coming up. Next week, we're going to have a very special episode because I will be on the road. I will be traveling next week. So It's going to be kind of a slapdash affair next week, but I didn't want to cancel it. So we will be live, and I will probably have a very special guest with me that I don't want to announce. And then I think the week after that, I will have local artist and old chum Frank Gonzalez coming, and I think we'll probably be at Poison Pen for that one. I'm not sure yet, but I haven't talked to him in person in God, 25 years or something like that, but he has really established himself as an artist, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is his full-time job. Like, just I don't want to say just painting, as if it doesn't count for anything, but that's what he does. Like, he's a full-time artist. And like, wow, I remember when I was a full-time artist. That was cool. Remember those days? So it'll be really fun to talk to him, and I think that's 2 weeks from tonight. So be sure you tune in for that. And then I'm still working on getting my ghost hunting people and my crime scene investigator signed up for one of these. Hopefully in March we'll get some of those guys on the calendar, and those will be very exciting and fun shows to do. So anyway, I think that's it. We are over time by a couple minutes. So again, as always, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. Yeah, ghost hunting. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got ghost hunters on my show. It's gonna be really cool. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea where that's gonna go, but it's gonna be really fun. We just haven't been able to settle on a date yet. So thank you again all for coming. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being so supportive. Yeah, it's great. It is really. It is. I appreciate it. That's about all I can say. I appreciate it so very much. If you haven't read Zero, read Zero because it's really good. I think. Yeah, special place in my heart for that. I love you too, Sam. I love all you guys because yeah, you don't have to be here, and yet here you are. So thank you. It helps. And I think that's probably it. Does that sound good? I think we're done. I think we're done. Um, cool. All right. Well, you know where this is going, right? You can say it with me if you want to. And again, you know, I just want what's best for you guys. Whatever is good, because that I want what's best for you because it's selfish for me, because if you're doing well, then that means we're that much closer to world peace. So it's all about me. You understand that, right? It's all about the world being at peace for my personal, comfort. I guess there are worse things, you know. So with that in mind, again, thank you very much for coming. We'll see you guys next week on the road from an undisclosed secret location, and a very special guest. All right. In the meantime, this week, yeah, this week and for the rest of your lives, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be safe, and may you be peaceful and at ease. And I will catch up with you guys next week. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.